Good evening สวัสดีค่ะ Welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight. I am Natha Gomolwatin, live from Thai PBS studio. And Kun Thep Chaiyong is joining me live from home. This is part of practice of social distancing, stay at home and work from home as part of the government order and asking for cooperation of people to try to limit mobility as much as we can in order to fight and to contain the spread of coronavirus. And today is already 1 week of state of emergency in Thailand after the Prime Minister has announced the order, and Kun Thep Chai is now joining me live from home. สวัสดีค่ะคุณเทพชัย
คุณนัทสวัสดีครับ and good evening. I mean, as far as Bangkok is concerned, if judging by the streets in the city, which have become even more empty today, it looks like more and more people are cooperating with authorities in following the stay-at-home directive. So
Yes.
that in part is good news, but probably not good enough for the medical authorities who want to see a much more people to comply with the directive.
That's right. It's still the cause of concern, and especially today, even it's the 4th day consecutive days that the rate of infection has been declining, but still the case of new infection is 120 and considered quite high, especially when the medical doctor said if the rate or the number of infection is still higher than 100, it's still cause of concern for Thai society.
That's right. We may want to look at it as good news that the number show a slight decline. As Kunatha mentioned, today we recorded 120 new cases of infection compared to 136 yesterday, and 127 yesterday, and 136 on Monday. So there's been a steady decline of the number of infection cases. But as Kunathai just mentioned, Dr. Tawisin Visanu-Yotin, the spokesman of the center responsible for fighting the deadly virus, cautioned against any untimely optimism at the moment, because as the number shows, we are still in the range of over 100, which is still a cause for big concern.
That's right. And if we take a look for the whole country in Thailand, Kun Thep Chai, 15 locations are still considered hotspot in which the number of infection are still rising, especially in Bangkok, Nonthaburi, Samut Prakan, and Phuket, and especially the deep south of Thailand, Yala, Narathiwat, Phuket, and Pattani are still the main hotspot of cluster cases of infection.
And of course, Bangkok, if we can call that, is still the epicenter of the pandemic in Thailand, registering the biggest number of infection cases.
Especially today, we got the announcement from Prime Minister and from the Cabinet, Kun Thep Chai, that probably curfew will have to be in order over the weekend in Thailand to keep social distancing and to reduce mobility of people as much as we can in the country.
That's right. It sounds like the curfew in whatever form is on the cards. And the cabinet will have a special meeting on this Friday, during which it expected to discuss this tough measure. But in fact, the news that we got today, according to the spokeswoman of the government, Kun Narimon Pinjosinwat, I mean, the meeting this Friday of the cabinet with this term, a special meeting, is to discuss additional rescue measures to help people impacted by the business closures or restrictions of business hours of a lot of establishments as a result of the pandemic. So this Friday will be very crucial, Gunanta. Discussion about additional rescue measures that may involve spending of even more money which the country seems to be not very prepared to have a lot right now. And then the possibility of a curfew in whatever form it is here.
That's right, and each province has also ordered its own instruction independently. Like last night, what we saw in Nonthaburi province from 11 p.m. last night, it was the asking for cooperation that people shouldn't come out from 11 p.m. until 5 a.m. in the morning, and that was just the announcement in Nonthaburi. And we can see other provinces are following the same instruction, like in Chonburi as well, asking for the ban of selling alcohol from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the province to try to reduce the number of people coming out of home as many as they can.
And tonight, it's the turn of Bangkok, the capital of Thailand. Starting at midnight tonight, all the food shops, all the convenience stores will be asked to close their door, starting at midnight until 5 in the morning for the next 30 days. Gunata, in the past few weeks, have seen how Bangkok's nightlife has been dim, right? Because of the closing of all entertainment places, restrictions on business hours for most of the business establishments. But starting midnight tonight, I mean, the Bangkok nightlife will be even quieter when all the food shops which are familiar scene for many people who hang out at night, and all the convenience store, grocery stores will be closed for 5 hours between midnight and 5 a.m. the next day. The governor of Bangkok, Kunaswin Panmueang, said at the press conference today that the measure is necessary to deal with what he calls the worsening situation that can only be curbed by having people coming out less than in the past few weeks.
That's right. That's the order that the government is trying to ask for cooperation under this state of emergency. It's not strict order yet, but we can see how each administration in each province has announced its own ban and its own request for cooperation independently. And we can see for sure that from now on, the nightlife in every province must become very peace and quiet. Kun Thep Chai.
Yeah, I'm sure many other provinces will follow suit by ordering convenience stores, food shops to be closed during the wee hours of the night. And Bangkok is now taking a lead in some form. And as we mentioned earlier, that is Friday, the cabinet will have a special meeting, and the rescue plan with additional measures to help people impacted by the coronavirus will be on the table. And as we know that in its initial rescue plan being implemented at the moment, the government is giving out cash handouts to people with low income and those affected by the economic impacts of the pandemic. Each person is entitled to 5,000 baht of cash a month for 3 consecutive months between March and May. And as of yesterday, more than 21 million people have registered to claim the financial assistance. And the authorities concerned will work out as to how many of these people will be very legally entitled to the assistance.
And there is another move politically, Kun Thep Chai, from opposition party led by Kun Sompong Amornviwatt from Pheu Thai party. He just come out to show gesture from opposition party that they would like to support government measures right now, especially to help people who are facing hardship in terms of giving financial support. So it means they promised to have full cooperation with the government in terms of providing financial for people who are facing difficult situation.
Of course, the move by the opposition party has been welcomed with praises by many people, because earlier some of the opposition politicians were heavily criticized for trying to politicize this pandemic. I mean, they came out very strongly at the beginning to criticize whatever measures introduced by the government, and they certainly came under a lot of attacks by people who believe that in such situation, each and every one of us need to lend a hand, not to put blame on anyone. So the gesture shown by the Pheu Thai party, the main opposition party, is certainly something that we should welcome.
And if we take a look at the global situation of COVID-19 infection, the COVID-19 pandemic, it's quite bleak and not quite uplifting, Kun Thepchai, especially the number of prediction of death toll in the US, especially from White House, that the figure could be reaching 100,000 or 240,000 in the US, in which the US president said that Americans should be prepared for the hard days that lie ahead. This comes as the US toll from the US coronavirus. The death toll has passed 3,600 already, and that's mean overtaken the number in China. And worldwide, more than 800,000 people have been infected and over 40,000 have died, according to a tally kept by Johns Hopkins University. So let's take a listen what the US president has told during the press briefing.
We're at war with a deadly virus. Success in this fight will require the full, absolute measure of our collective strength, love, and devotion. Very important. Each of us has the power, through our own choices and actions, to save American lives and rescue the most vulnerable among us. That's why we really have to do what we all know is right. I want every American to be prepared for the hard days that lie ahead. We're going to go through a very tough 2 weeks. And then hopefully, as the experts are predicting, as I think a lot of us are predicting after having studied it so hard, you're going to start seeing some real light at the end of the tunnel. But this is going to be a very painful, very, very painful.
So that's very painful state that Americans are facing, and that's what the US President Donald Trump has warned people in advance, that the next 2 weeks will be very tough for Americans in particular. Kun Thepchai, are you still with us?
Yes, and I can see the ambassador DeSombre also with us now.
Good evening, Ambassador Michael DeSombre. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, Kanata. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, very clear.
Great.
Ambassador, we just heard what the president told Americans, that they have to be prepared for the next painful 2 weeks. So what's the message that you'd like to tell Americans in Thailand as well?
Yes, I think the American President Trump was obviously presented a very sobering message of the challenges that the U.S. will be going through in the next few weeks. We in Thailand have been very pleased to see from the procedures and policies put into place that so far there looks to be a flattening of the curve in Thailand. The number of infections have maintained at around the 100 to 150 rate per day over the last week, which is an encouraging sign, but we all need to remain vigilant. Obviously, the most important thing that we in the U.S. and the government here in Thailand has been focusing on is social distancing, staying at home, as today myself and Kun Thepchai are here, obviously not in the studio, but at home. And that's very important. The more we can stay at home, the more we can keep ourselves at least 6 feet away from everybody else. The more we can wash our hands and avoid touching our face, the better everyone will be. We in the U.S. Embassy have been focusing for over 2 weeks now on extreme teleworking, having no more than 10% of our staff in the office at any one point in time, consistent with the Royal Thai government's plan to decrease activity on the streets and in general by 90%. And I think those policies look to be having a positive effect.
Ambassador DeSombre, as an American, you must also be shocked by the dire warning from the president about the potential of such a large number of deaths if the stay-at-home or the social distancing practice is not strictly enforced. So what was your reaction when you heard the message from the president?
No, I've been watching the presidential daily briefs every day. I find them crucially important. And the one this morning, Thailand time, was obviously particularly sobering and obviously really shows the importance of the message that we all need to do everything that we can do to minimize the impact of the virus. I think otherwise, many of the messages from the daily brief have really shown, have given me great optimism, quite honestly, that when you take the American economic system and free enterprise, ingenuity, and dedication, when fully unleashed to try to vanquish the virus, we will succeed. I think what we've seen in the last couple of days is the U.S. now has tested over 1 million people, more than any other country in the world. We're now at a rate where we're testing more than 100,000 people per day. We have 20 new approved methods of testing, including one from Abbott Laboratories that can do a positive test in as little as 5 minutes. We have 10 companies producing ventilators, including Ford and GM and others. And the hope is that not only will we satisfy the need for all of these products in the US, but we will be able to satisfy the need globally as the virus continues to spread throughout the world.
Ambassador, what's your hometown in the US and what's the situation like right now?
I grew up in Chicago, Kanata. Chicago is one of the cities that appears to be being hit by the second wave, as it were. We saw initially Seattle and Washington being hit relatively hard. Now New York, we're seeing Detroit, New Orleans, and Chicago now being hit. I have my two 80-year-old parents in a senior living home in Chicago, where they have battened down the hatches, as we'd say from the Navy terms, and basically are staying at home and making sure that there's no contact between the outside and the people in the senior living home. It is going to be a challenging few weeks in America, as I think President Trump correctly advised Americans that we need to be prepared for that. But yet there is still light at the end of the tunnel. We do see that hopefully by the end of April, we'll have reached and gone down the other side of the curve if we've been able to flatten it accordingly.
Ambassador, America now is being referred to as an epicenter of the pandemic. Of course, it's a very unenviable the title. But I'm sure that a lot of American people must be asking themselves why such an advanced and prosperous country could have come to this. What you have an answer for this if you were asked a question?
It's a very good question, Kintepchai. I think there's not a perfect answer to that, but I do think one of the challenges that we've discovered is that the world did not have sufficient information early on as to the virulency and the ease of transmission of the virus, and is something that caught people unprepared. And perhaps if there had been greater transparency at the source of the virus in Wuhan and Hubei originally, we would have had greater intelligence that would have allowed us to better prepare for this situation.
And with the vaccine, I'm sure the US medical doctors must be working against time and try to get the test result. Can you tell us the deadline or what's the progress in vaccine testing?
Well, Kunanta, there's a lot of focus obviously on therapeutic drugs, and there's a few of those that have shown some efficacy that have been expedited by the FDA for various treatments, and there's definitely more being looked into. As to vaccines, I'm aware that there are some early trials of 5 vaccines and others, and people are obviously pushing that as quickly as possible, and we hope they can come out as quickly as possible. But obviously it's very important in connection with any therapeutics, any testing, any other aspects that we make sure they are completely safe. We don't want to have any circumstances where people rely upon tests and have them not be accurate, or where they rely upon vaccines and have them not be effective. And so obviously speed is of the essence, but accuracy and carefulness is equally important.
Ambassador, 2 weeks ago, you posted a video clip on the social media addressing American people living in Thailand or on tour in Thailand who may need help or advice from the embassy. What has been the response from these people so far?
The response has been excellent, and the response divides into two different areas. We obviously have a very large number of Americans who make Thailand their home, and they will stay here and are prepared to stay here. We have other Americans who are tourists in this country. We have encouraged them and continue to encourage them that if they do not wish to stay in Thailand for the long term, that now is a good time to make their way back to America, now that there are commercial flights available. But we at the U.S. Embassy stand ready, obviously, to assist all Americans in Thailand. The health and safety of Americans in Thailand is my top priority, and we will continue to be available to assist Americans with emergency issues as they arise during these challenges.
Ambassador, you have just started officially in Thailand, so what's your day like this day, because it's just the beginning of your post in Thailand?
Yes, I think many people have asked me, is this what I expected it would be as the ambassador to Thailand? I think the simple answer is no, but I've always expected that the health and security of Americans in Thailand and in my mission would be one of my top priorities. At the moment, the vast majority of my time is focused on that, on the health and security of my mission employees and Americans in Thailand. I spend most of my day dealing with these issues and will continue dealing with those issues to ensure that we keep all Americans safe here in Thailand.
And how do you deal with daily practice, and especially your staff? Many must be working from home and staying at home right now.
That's true. As I mentioned, we have about 10% of our people in the office at any one point in time, and the others are all teleworking. It's quite interesting. Coming from the private sector, I'd always been used to teleworking around the world in hotels, from home, sort of everywhere that I travel. Rarely would I actually be in the office. I came to appreciate that that was not the case in government, and that most people had not been accustomed to teleworking. So there was an initial process of acclimation, shall we say, but I can tell you, Kuntapchai and Kunnata, that things have worked out very well. People that 3 weeks ago could not have imagined doing their job from home are now doing their job incredibly effectively from home, and it's working very well. And I've been very impressed by the ability of my mission community to adapt to the changing circumstance and still continuing, pursuing their mission.
And the problem is that they may not want to go back to work in the office physically again.
I think there may be some of that, Kuntapchai, although I do believe that most people are very much looking forward to the day that they can go back into their full activity as before.
I see. My guess is that all the non-essential diplomatic functions where diplomats have to be present physically are off the table, at least for the foreseeable future, right?
Well, I was told that I was expecting a lot of my role to be attending, evening dinners and receptions and national days and doing those sorts of things, and that definitely has disappeared. We aren't doing any of that. Everybody in all the missions are respecting social distancing, so that's exactly right. But the basic functions of Mission Thailand, the U.S. Mission Thailand, are continuing as normal. We are continuing all the work in the economic areas, the political areas, the other areas that the United States expects us to be doing out here. And one thing I've told my staff is that this is the period when the American diplomats abroad are truly essential, when we're the ones really having the full interaction, being able to explain what's going on the ground, and really being able to provide information and viewpoints that are not as easily accessible from the United States anymore. So we're actually very much the crucial aspects of U.S. diplomacy now, more than ever.
How do you see that? Do you see how the U.S. and China can work together in a global leadership role to fight against the virus, despite their differences or spats that they may have in recently?
I think it is very important during this crisis for all countries and every person to do all that they can. I do believe that China bears unique responsibility to contribute to the health crisis around the world. I think with the period in December and January in Wuhan, where even the Chinese own procedures that they developed during SARS had not been implemented and mistakes were made, it's important to understand what those mistakes were so that we can avoid them in the future. But most importantly, every country needs to do the most that they can to help humanity at this point in time.
And the way the US president addressed the virus as Chinese virus, do you think it's the right way to address it?
Again, Kunat, as I mentioned, I think it's undisputable that the virus originated in China. It originated in Wuhan. I don't think there's any dispute about that. And I think it's very important that we look at exactly what happened, that China is fully transparent as to the origins of the virus, so that we can ensure that this situation does not happen again. That is what China assured the world after SARS, was that they had put in place appropriate procedures to ensure this would not happen again. But yet, it happened again.
Now, under this very extraordinary situation, are there any special or specific instructions from the State Department as to how diplomats in Bangkok, US diplomats in Bangkok, should conduct themselves or behave?
I think our instructions pretty much stay the same. I think we're probably left a little bit more to our own devices now than we had been before, because in DC, you may have seen that Virginia and Maryland also have put in place relatively strict stay-at-home provisions. So the number of people in the U.S. government, working directly from their offices is also relatively limited. But fundamentally, our role stays the same. We're here as the tip of the spear, as I like to say, of American diplomacy. And I expect my mission and my diplomats to behave and to conduct themselves as they would always.
Ambassador, you must be familiar with economy in this region, Asia Pacific and Southeast Asia in particular. So what do you see the impact of COVID-19 on the economy in the region?
I think it's not just particular to this region. I think every country is obviously going to have significant economic hit from the virus. I think Thailand is well positioned in some areas, obviously in certain food exports and others. There's been actually an increase in exports out of Thailand, increased demand from around the world for certain aspects. But nonetheless, clearly, Thailand, like every country that's being hit by the virus, and even those that aren't at the moment, the global economy is going to go through some hard times. But I think what we will see is that, as President Trump has emphasized, unlike other business cycle recessions, this is a recession essentially caused by governments in shutting down economies in order to protect our people. As a result, it is a recession, if we have one, that will be immediately released and immediately solved once the governments restart the economies and let everybody else go back to work. So clearly there's going to be a short-term challenge, but I do believe that in the medium term, you will have a rapid bounce back.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Ambassador, do you have any uplifting message for the Thai people under these very extraordinary circumstances?
Well, I think the most uplifting message at the moment is that the government policies do appear to be flattening the curve, and that for those of us living in Thailand, we look at this and it is definitely not going the way of Italy at the moment or other countries where they've had massively increasing levels of infection. So I think everybody in Thailand should be very pleased about that. We still need to remain very vigilant, and I think everybody's continued cooperation with social distancing and other government requirements is crucially important to ensure that we avoid having a significant spike up. But otherwise, I do think that the U.S. economic engines of free enterprise and innovation will come to the rescue of the global economy and the global crisis, because we're seeing that already, and there's been no crisis in history that when you have the U.S. economic engines and the U.S. government focused on addressing that crisis, there's been no crisis that we have not overcome.
Do you see this uncertain circumstance will have impact or affect the U.S. presidential election by the end of this year?
I think what we're seeing in the last few weeks is that President Trump's approval rating has been going up. And people are appreciating the leadership that he has brought to the situation and appreciating the experts that he brings around him in making sure that he addresses the problem appropriately. So I think that his leadership is well on display. American public is appreciating that, and that will continue through the rest of the year.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed, Ambassador, for joining us, and stay safe and enjoy working from home right now.
Thank you very much. Good
Thank
night.
you very much.
Thank you very much for having me on tonight. I appreciate it.
Stay safe. All right.
ค่ะ Thank you, Ambassador. So that's the view from the U.S. Ambassador to Thailand, Ambassador Michael DeSombre. Regarding strip test in Thailand, it launched on Monday, and it's part of the process and part of cooperation from Chulalongkorn University and many startup company. And to what extent the use of the test from the strip test center can be like cooperation with public health ministry in terms of fighting COVID-19. Let's take a listen from the report from คุณกิติพัฒน์ชื่นสุขจิต
As we know that right now, the only accurate and reliable medical test for COVID-19 is the polymerase chain reaction, or PCR. This type of medical test makes millions of copies of a particular section of DNA to find out if you are infected or not. But there's a limitation to it. To do a PCR test, patients have to spend many hours in a hospital or clinic. No doubts, the huge numbers of people infected or who think they are infected with COVID-19 have strained the medical capacity to handle such tests. And that's how the COVID-19 strip test comes in handy. It cannot replace the strenuous PCR procedure, but it certainly helps with relieving the medical workload. The Chula COVID-19 strip test, developed by the medical staff of Chulalongkorn University, is a preliminary blood test to screen for COVID-19 infection risks. The test's main goal is to help expand the capacity of virus testing options within Thailand. It was developed by professors at Faculty of the Pharmaceutical Science, Chulalongkorn University. The test is based on serology test to detect antibodies in the blood serum or plasma.
So our company, our startup company has a core technology to produce protein from plants from the beginning. Yep. So we start doing it like several years ago. Our researcher, our co-founder, has been working on producing protein using plant-based platform for more than 10 years. So we look into the protein that associated with COVID-19. And we found that there are different types of protein that can be produced. So the first product that we try to do is the strip test, because we can produce the antigen, the spike of the virus. So it's a recombinant protein. So we make the spike, and we use that spike to be used in the strip test. So if the person develop an immunity for this virus, their antibody will, touch with our antigen on the strips, and that's how we use it.
The protein can be used in the process of vaccine development. Another team at Chulalongkorn University is working on a vaccine development.
This is the platform that we can use to produce a vaccine. Yep. And also some medicines. Like a few years ago when Ebola pandemics happened, there's a drug called monoclonal antibody. We can use that, and right now other countries in the world are looking at that as well as the vaccines that produce as a protein. So our main platform is not the strip test, but the protein.
But the endeavor couldn't have succeeded without a group of biotech and digital platform development startups.
We have coming up this initiative because we realize that university has a lot of assets. Especially we have a big pool of talents, faculty members, students, staff, and alumni. And then we found out that we have a lot of intellectual capitals, which is research that we have at several other faculties at the university. So the university realized that this is the right time that we need to coalesce together bringing our talents and taking all these intellectual assets into communities and impacting the communities. When we bringing in all this startup together, then we design the whole process. The first step is we using an online platforms using Pet Thai Su Pai, which is a platform that bringing in several startups together and working with Department of Disease Control.
People who are interested in using the July COVID-19 strip test are required to register at Pet Thai Su Pai online application. Persons showing signs of medium to high risk results will be notified and scheduled a visit at the Chulalongkorn University Health Service Center. The whole process will take about 10 to 15 minutes.
So that's the test center launched by Chulalongkorn University. And in other parts of the world, like in Germany, restaurant chain is also affected from coronavirus. And they have to struggle right now in order to cope with the spread of coronavirus. In spite of government aid, many of Germany's restaurant owners are on the brink of disaster. Small family restaurants are struggling to survive. Berlin's international restaurant owners are overwhelmed with German government aid applications. Now they hope delivery service will save them.
We're in the red, making losses. I need to pay salaries, the suppliers, taxes and all that. The only lifelines are takeaway, which is still permitted, and home deliveries. But up until a few days ago, these weren't important to the business, which focused mainly on sit-in guests. Now the Baraka is racing against time to get a delivery service up and running. It's a compromise solution. We already distributed flyers in the area. We hope that our regular guests will stay faithful and order our food from home. We know times are difficult, but we are keeping our standards as high as always. We're being extremely careful and simply do our best. Abdallah says he's worried about his family in Morocco, but he spends most of his time just trying to keep this Berlin institution afloat for as long as possible. Hundreds of restaurants in the German capital are struggling to survive. No tourists, no locals, and supply chain problems are leaving many business owners in a desperate economic situation with no quick solution in sight.
That's about how German restaurant owners are trying to cope with the infection of COVID-19, and they are getting help from German authority. And to see what's really happened on the ground in Germany, right now we have Thai correspondent in Germany is going to talk with us, Kun Sopaporn Kurs, Thai correspondent in Germany, and she is having a page of stories by ยงศรีสวัสดีค่ะคุณโสภาพร Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome. Happy to be here as well.
Are you at home?
Yes.
And how your life these days?
It's a bit more difficult, of course. We have two girls, so they're at home all the time. My husband also works from home, so the house is full. So it's not easy, I must say, but we can cope. We are doing fine. We're getting used to it.
And you must have heard so many stories about Thai people who live there, who reside there in Germany. How are they? How do they cope with COVID-19?
I think in general they're doing well. Everyone follow the government suggestion instruction. Of course, everyone is affected, but there are measurements that help as well.
And what have they prepared in advance in order to face this crisis?
I think a lot of people are very cautious. They follow the news since the spread started in China. And once it hit Italy, I think a lot started to prepare themselves, their household by stocking up food and stuff. From many people that I've talked to, they do not have problem in terms of stuff that they need, and they follow the news. They also, many of them also try to wear masks, but because here it's not very well recognized yet, some have some difficulties at the beginning when they wear a mask. People look differently. Some even have some incidents. People come and talk to them. But in general, in terms of daily life, I think they are coping well.
But you wrote in an article for Thai PBS World this morning that
Yes.
many Thais living in Germany had difficulty in coping with the situation when the outbreak first hit the country, right? So can you describe to us what the problems that the Thais there were facing back then?
There are two parts of it. First, those who wanted to travel back to Thailand, of course, after March 22nd, they had that new law rule by the Thai government that they have to have the document fit to fly. And that came in such a short notice that a lot of them were not able to get the documents, so some were refused to fly. And some who travel with the family, the rules also different between the Thai nationals and foreigners, as in, for example, the German husband. So some were not informed and they have just the same document, because for the foreigner, it has to be the COVID-free document. And so I think that was a difficulty, the first part. The second part, a lot of Thai people here, the business that they have are massage parlor. So at first it was not clear if that was allowed to operate. And then, so of course, in that few days, that it was not yet clear. It was difficult for them. Some want to close, some didn't want to close, because of course then the income will be gone. So, but then after March 22nd, when it was clear that the massage services are for Thai, most of the Thai massage services are for relaxation, not medical, and hence are deemed non-essential, then all of them have to close. And then it was clear. The stress is gone for that part. Yes.
And how the spirit of German population right now, as far as you can see?
Again, please?
Yes, how's the public sentiment among German people right now, as far as you can see?
As far as I can see, I think it's very calm. I think after Angela Merkel gave the speech on the March 18, it became clear to all of them that this is serious. And she gave a very clear, strong, and very precise message to the whole nation that this is serious and we have to work on it together. We will pass this, but the number of the victims depends on how you cooperate. She asked for cooperation. She also gives the insights of what the government wants to do, and the government promised that they will communicate with the people with transparency and make with the clear statement. So don't follow the rumors, listen to the official source. And she asked for people's cooperation. And I think that 12 minutes of the message was clear. And people take it in. They look for the leadership, and the leadership provided that. It became, to my surprise, I must say, it's peaceful. People follow the news. People follow the rules when you go to the supermarket. Everyone keep the social distance. There are just like that. The next day, it's implemented by everyone immediately. So it's been good, I would say.
So it has been voluntary, right? People have followed the regulations voluntarily.
Yes. I mean, in some cases, there are some fees. Would you say that? But
Fine.
in general, you can say that in general, everyone obeys the rule.
But you can get fined if you break the rules, right?
I read somewhere, I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
for as of now, what I read is that in few cases of some who do not follow the rules of gathering more than 2 people that are not family members. Yes, but in general, it's very peaceful. Everyone follows the rules.
So Frankfurt is now a very quiet city.
Extremely.
Very
you can hear the birds.
very un-Frankfurt-like, huh?
It's very quiet. You can hardly hear car passing by.
You have your own page, Stories by Yong Si. So what's the page has become community of Thai who live in German, and what they are discussing at this juncture?
For my page, it's more like my personal experiences. And because I just got back from Thailand on March 19 as well, I rushed back. I cut short my trip from Thailand, so a lot of people were interested how it is to compare between things in Thailand and things in Germany. We also talk about the issue of like rare items, like the paper, which is very rare right now. And of course, there are concerns in terms of people who are working here and have like massage parlors. They have to close down. They don't have the income. What are the government assistance? Which we also discussed a little bit, and many other pages in Germany for Thai people in Germany are discussing that as well. And we are helping each other to provide the information to help each other.
Nice. You know, since the outbreak of the virus in some European countries, there have been cases of discrimination against Asian people. I mean, there have been even some racist attacks on them. So what about in Germany? Any incident of that sort?
I heard from my friends, a few of them, that yes, that happened when things were still slow here at the end of February. Some of my friends start wearing masks going out and get questioned or get asked or get scolded, get looked in a negative ways. In some extreme cases, they came and asked, why are you out here when you are sick? You should stay at home. They have a different concept of wearing masks. Myself personally, I didn't have that because I guess where I live is very international. We have a lot of Asians. So I did not have that discriminated experience.
But do you have to wear masks these days if you go out? Are you supposed to, or you are not required?
No, we are not supposed to. We were not told. In German, authorities did not really mention anything about masks, but we are strongly encouraged to keep distance. And I see that there are more people wearing masks now. More meaning, let's say, not more than 20% of the population, maybe more, about around 10, 15. But you see more people wearing gloves, like those that you wear when you do some house chores. You see more of that. And I think it seems, for me, Germany chose the way to go with social distancing, that they, like in the supermarket right now, everyone is required to use the shopping cart. So it's somehow, because of that, it already saves the distance of 1.5. It already gives you the 1.5 meter distance.
Yeah, proper distance.
Yes.
Any uplifting story can you see right now, like help from volunteers try to lift up each other during this difficult time?
Yes. Right now, we say here that the most fragile group would be elders. So, like I myself have to go shopping for my mother-in-law, who she doesn't go to grocery shopping anymore. And similar stories is happening everywhere in Germany. Also, the Thai communities are getting together in such a beautiful way. Everyone is doing what they can to help providing information. Of course, right now, after 2 weeks of stay-at-home policy, there are a lot of stress in the house. The group, for example, like Tara Association, they are sharing information about where you can seek help. Say if you have problems with domestic violence, be it for women or kids, their page like พ่อบ้านเยอรมัน which share stories or updates about news, the numbers, as well as measurements. There are groups like เท่าแก่เนี้ย in Europe with 4,000 members, and they're sharing information how should you apply for the assistance from the government, which also differs in different states, but they're sharing, and that is so beautiful.
Now in Frankfurt, are there many Thai students there?
I do not have the exact number, but yes, we do have.
But do they have problems of trying to get home because they cannot attend classes, right?
From what I have discussed with the acting consul general here in Frankfurt, he said that for those who came with the short stay, like the exchange program or like the 1 year, they have already encouraged them to go back, and they discussed with the organizer, and those has already been done. There are those who still choose to remain, and they stay, and they're doing fine from what I heard.
And what about you yourself? How do you take care of your family members right now? Is it more difficult, more challenging, tougher?
Yes.
Cooking more Thai food.
Yes, I try to look at it on the bright side. I get to spend more time with them, which means that I get to speak more Thai with them. So that Thai is improving a lot.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and it's really challenging, and I think also many are going through the same experience, particularly and I think it's very difficult for those who do not have much space. In Germany, many people live in apartment, and not everyone live on the ground floor, which means no garden. And right now, you're not supposed to go out. All the swimming pools and playgrounds, public playgrounds are closed. So to have kids at home the whole time, truly challenging. And we still have 3 more weeks to go. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So Kun Sopaporn, please stay with us because I'd like to share this story with you and Kun Thepchai and to our audience about uplifting story from Wuhan, because before it was epicenter of infection, but right now the situation is getting better and some shopping malls are resuming and then opening for the public again. So let's take a look at this story.
On Tuesday, over 7,000 medical workers deployed to Wuhan in the battle against the virus departed from the city. It marked the largest pull-out of medical workers since a phased withdrawal started on March 17th. The first batch of Shanghai medical workers, which is the first medical teams to arrive in Wuhan, also flew home on Tuesday. The team reached Wuhan on January 24th, a day before China's Spring Festival, to support their colleagues. During their 63 days in Wuhan, they have saved 167 lives. Medical teams from East China's Zhejiang and Anhui province also left Wuhan on the same day. 142 medical workers from Zhejiang province fought on the front line by treating critically ill patients in the past 47 days. They worked at 2 different hospitals to help ease the burden of local medical teams. Meanwhile, shopping malls in Wuhan are back to business. However, many retail stores have adopted stricter procedures to ensure safety. From cleaning and disinfection in every corner of the commercial block, as well as scanning health QR codes from customers and taking their temperatures before allowing anyone to walk in. Some shops allow no more than 5 customers inside the store all at the same time. According to the Wuhan's Epidemic Prevention and Control Headquarters, cinemas, bars, salons, and gyms are still on the waiting list to resume their businesses.
So at least we have something to look forward to คุณโสภาพร and คุณเทพชัย when things are back to normal. And that's all from Thai PBS World Tonight in English. And please carry on staying with us because right now I want to carry on the program in Thai. สวัสดีค่ะคุณผู้ชมกำลังติดตาม Thai PBS World Tonight ในช่วงของการวิเคราะห์สถานการณ์โควิด -19 นะคะและช่วงนี้เราอยู่กับคุณโสภาพรคอสคนไทยในเยอรมนีค่ะและมีเพจเล่าเรื่องจากหยงศรีด้วยนะคะสวัสดีค่ะคุณโสภาพร
สวัสดีค่ะ
ช่วงนี้คงมีเรื่องเดียวที่เล่าใช่ไหมครับคุณโสภาพรไม่มีเรื่องอื่นแล้วนะครับใช่ไหมตกลงตอนนี้ทุกวันนี้ก็ถือว่าอยู่ที่บ้านแล้วล่ะ stay at home ตามนโยบายตามคำสั่งของรัฐบาลแล้วบรรยากาศเป็นไงบ้างครับในเมืองแฟรงก์เฟิร์ตที่คุณโสภาพรอยู่เนี่ยมันเงียบเชียบเพราะแฟรงก์เฟิร์ตปกติเป็นเมืองคึกคักที่สุดเมืองหนึ่งของเยอรมนีนะใช่ไหมครับ
ใช่ค่ะใช่ครับปกติเป็นเมืองที่มีงานแสดงสินค้าแล้วก็มีเครื่องบินมาต่อเครื่องมากมายเป็นศูนย์กลางทางการเงินก็จะคึกคักมากๆตอนนี้ก็คือเงียบสนิทแบบว่าเหมือนกับวันอาทิตย์ที่ทุกร้านปิดเนี่ยค่ะเหมือนวันหยุดนักขัตฤกษ์ก็คือเงียบแบบนั้นทุกวันได้ยินเสียงนกร้อง
เป็นเดือนแล้วใช่ไหมครับเนี่ยบรรยากาศ
2 อาทิตย์แล้วค่ะถ้านับตั้งแต่วันที่18ที่ชันเซลเลอร์แมคเคิลออกมาพูดก็2 อาทิตย์แล้ว2 อาทิตย์พอดีแล้วก็ยังจะยาวไปอีก3 อาทิตย์
ซึ่งก็เป็นสัญญาณที่ทำให้เห็นว่าคนในเมืองแฟรงก์เฟิร์ตก็ปฏิบัติตามข้อกำหนดหรือข้อบังคับในการที่จะไม่ออกมาเพ่นพ่านข้างนอกอย่างเคร่งครัดใช่ไหมครับ
ใช่ค่ะทุกคนส่วนมากคือน่าประทับใจมากๆว่าให้ความร่วมมือจริงจังจริงๆค่ะ
แล้วตอนนี้ปรับตัวอย่างไรคะยากไหมคะต้องทำงานที่บ้านมากขึ้นชีวิตเป็นยังไงบ้างคะ
เรื่องปรับตัวนี้ตอนนี้ก็ต้องเรียนว่าสัปดาห์ที่2แล้วก็เริ่มชินค่ะแต่สัปดาห์แรกเครียดมากเข้าใจได้เลยว่าทำไมตัวเลขของคนที่เขามีปัญหา domestic violence หรือทะเลาะเบาะแว้งมันจะมากขึ้นเพราะว่าอยู่เต็มบ้านกันทุกคนลูกไม่ไปโรงเรียนสามีก็ทำงานอยู่ที่บ้านด้วยทำกับข้าวซักผ้าวนไปแล้วก็เราต้องหากิจกรรมให้เด็กด้วยเพราะว่าเด็กๆก็ไม่สามารถออกไปข้างนอกได้สนามเด็กเล่นกิจกรรมทุกอย่างหยุดหมดว่ายน้ำอะไรเงี้ยค่ะก็เครียดแต่ว่าก็โชคดีว่ามองให้ในแง่บวกก็คือเรามีโอกาสได้อยู่กับลูกมากขึ้นพูดภาษาไทยกับลูกมากขึ้นลูกภาษาไทยของลูกก็ดีขึ้นค่ะ
อะไรเป็นจุดหักเหที่ทำให้เมืองแฟรงก์เฟิร์ตต้องใช้มาตรการที่ค่อนข้างจะเข้มงวดแบบนี้ครับ
คิดว่ามาจากในช่วงสัปดาห์ตอนกลางเดือนมีนาคมนะคะที่ตัวเลขเพิ่มขึ้นเรื่อยๆเรื่องมันจริงๆตอนแรกมีตัวเลขไม่เยอะมากมีแค่เป็นหลักตัวเดียวหรือ2 ตัวซึ่งมีเคสอยู่ที่แถวบาเยิร์นนะคะแล้วพอเมื่อกลางเดือน23 กุมภาเนี่ยค่ะที่อิตาลีเริ่มเป็นหนักๆแล้วปิดเนี่ยตัวเลขในเยอรมันก็เริ่มขึ้นแล้วพอมาถึงวันที่มีนาคมตัวเลขขึ้นเป็น100แล้วหลังจากนั้นคือเพิ่มขึ้นอย่างเร็วมากทุกวันทำให้พอมีการพูดคุยพอตอนกลางเดือนก็บางรัฐเนี่ยเริ่มนอร์ทไรน์เวสต์ฟาเลียเริ่มเป็นพันเยอรมนีเริ่มประกาศปิดบอร์เดอร์ปิดชายแดนใช่ไหมคะแล้วพอวันที่18นายกรัฐมนตรีออกประกาศคือเขาพูดกับประชาชน12 นาทีนั้นคือบอกว่านี่คือเรื่องซีเรียสและขอให้ทุกคน take it serious แล้วก็มีมาตรการออกมาอีกตามมาอธิบายให้คนเข้าใจว่าทำไมถึงต้องทำอย่างนี้เพื่อปกป้องคนที่กลุ่มที่เสี่ยงที่สุดในขณะเดียวกันต้องการยืดระยะเวลาให้เจ้าหน้าที่ได้มีโอกาสรักษาคนแล้วก็ให้ตัวเลขมันไม่ให้คนผู้ป่วยเข้ามาเยอะเกินไปในโรงพยาบาลซึ่งแม้ว่าไม่ว่าจะดีเพียงแค่ไหนเนี่ยแต่ถ้าผู้ป่วยเข้ามารอบเดียวเต็มๆเนี่ยระบบก็จะอยู่ไม่ได้แล้วก็พูดดีมากนะคะเขาบอกว่าเราจะผ่านวิกฤตนี้ไปด้วยกันแต่ว่าเหยื่อผู้ที่เสียชีวิตจำนวนจะมากน้อยแค่ไหนทุกท่านมีส่วนมีอิทธิพลต่อตัวเลขนั้นมันก็ทำให้ทุกคนวันรุ่งขึ้นคือเงียบแล้วก็ทุกคนรักษาโซเชียลดิสแทนซ์คือชัดมากค่ะว่าทุกคนร่วมมือ
แสดงว่ามีความเชื่อมั่นในตัวผู้นำค่อนข้างจะสูงแต่ฟังจากที่เล่าแล้วนะครับ
ค่ะแล้วอาจจะเป็นเพราะว่าเขาทำชัดเจนด้วยอะค่ะว่าเขาก็ใน12 นาทีนั้นมันเป็น12 นาทีที่ทรงประสิทธิภาพมากเพราะว่าเขาพูดเลยว่านี่เป็นประชาธิปไตยเราจะสื่อสารกับท่านทุกการตัดสินใจเราจะสื่อสารให้ประชาชนรับทราบเรา อย่าเชื่อข่าวลวงขอให้ฟังจากหน่วยงานรัฐเท่านั้นแล้วก็อธิบายมาเสร็จว่านี่คืออะไรเรากำลังทำอะไรและทำไมเราถึงต้องการความร่วมมือจากท่านมันในภาวะวิกฤตคนคงมองหาภาวะเขาเป็นผู้นำแล้วสิ่งที่ได้มาคือมันชัดเจนตรงประเด็นทุกคนก็ร่วมมือค่ะ
ก่อนหน้านี้คนเยอรมันจะฟังสารจากท่านผู้นำแล้วทำตามในลักษณะนี้ไหมคะคุณโสภาพรคะหรือว่านี่เป็นครั้งแรกที่คนให้ความร่วมมือกันมากนะคะ
ปกติท่านผู้นำนายกรัฐมนตรีก็จะไม่มาออกแถลงอย่างนี้นะคะปกติจะแถลงเฉพาะตอนปีใหม่ขอให้ทุกคนอวยพรให้ทุกคนสุขภาพดีแข็งแรงค่ะก็จะไม่มีประกาศลักษณะนี้เลยเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยพอมีประกาศนี้เกิดขึ้นทุกคนรู้ว่ามันสำคัญค่ะ
ครับคือคุณชวพรครับทราบมาว่าในช่วงแรกๆที่โรคนี้เริ่มระบาดในเยอรมนีเนี่ยคนไทยซึ่งก็มีจำนวนไม่น้อยนะครับในแฟรงก์เฟิร์ตก็เมืองอื่นๆด้วยอย่างมิวนิกเนี่ยทำตัวไม่ค่อยถูกเหมือนกันเพราะว่าไม่ค่อยมั่นใจว่ากฎระเบียบที่ออกมามันต้องปฏิบัติตามหรือว่ามันเคร่งครัดแค่ไหนยังไงใช่ไหมครับลองเล่าให้ฟังหน่อยครับว่าบรรยากาศช่วงนั้นเป็นยังไง
ในช่วงแรกๆคนไทยก็จะเป็นคนที่ตื่นตัวนะคะก็จะอ่านตามข่าวตั้งแต่มีการแพร่ระบาดในจีนแล้วก็คนไทยเนื่องจากคุ้นชินกับการใส่หน้ากากด้วยเราใส่หน้ากากกันมาตั้งแต่ PM ฝุ่น PM 2.5 หรือว่าในปีก่อนหน้าที่มีโรคอย่างอื่นเราคุ้นชินกับสิ่งนั้นก็ทำให้หลายคนรู้สึกก็อยากใส่หน้ากากทีนี้ที่เยอรมนีเนี่ยหน้ากากไม่ได้วางขายทั่วไปไม่มีหาซื้อลำบากแล้วก็บางคนพอใส่ตัดสินใจที่จะใส่ออกไปเนี่ยก็อาจจะเจอกับปัญหาคนที่ไม่เข้าใจเพราะว่าคนที่เยอรมันไม่ใส่จริงๆนะคะในช่วงก่อนอย่างช่วงเดือนกุมภาทั้งหมดเลยคือไม่มีใครใส่คนที่ใส่คือป่วยคือเหมือนกับป่วยเพราะฉะนั้นถ้าใส่เดินออกไปเนี่ยก็จะถูกมองว่าป่วยคนก็จะเดินเลี่ยงเดินไม่เดินเข้าใกล้อย่างเงี้ยค่ะ
ทางรัฐบาลก็ไม่ได้บอกให้ใส่ใช่ไหมครับ
รัฐบาลไม่ได้บอกให้
แพทย์ก็ไม่บอกให้ใส่
ไม่บอกให้ใส่ค่ะ
ช่วงแรกๆนี่อาจจะได้เห็นกระแสที่คล้ายๆกับว่าเกลียดกลัวคนเอเชียนะคะเพราะมองว่าไวรัสเนี่ยมาจากทางประเทศจีนแล้วคนที่หน้าตาเอเชียก็อาจจะโดนตะโกนต่อว่าคุณโสภาพรโดนบ้างไหมคะหรือว่ามีรายงานว่าคนไทยที่เป็นเพื่อนๆที่รู้จักกันเนี่ยโดนในลักษณะนี้ไหมคะ
มีบ้างค่ะได้ฟังจากเพื่อนบางท่านว่ามีบ้างแต่ที่ได้ฟังจะได้ยินจะเป็นคนที่เขาใส่หน้ากากออกไปเขาจะโดนแต่ว่าอย่างเมืองแฟรงก์เฟิร์ตที่อยู่ด้วยความที่เป็นเมืองใหญ่แล้วก็มีคนต่างชาติอยู่เยอะคนจีนก็อยู่เยอะค่ะสุดตัวโสภาพรนี่ไม่เคยโดนค่ะก็ยังรู้สึกดีใจอยู่ว่าเราโชคดีอยู่ในเมืองที่ไม่ได้ทำให้เรารู้สึกแบบแย่ไม่โดนค่ะ
ในแฟรงก์เฟิร์ตมีคนไทยที่คุณโสภาพรทราบที่อาจจะติดเชื้ออะไรบ้างไหมครับนี้
ยังไม่มีค่ะแล้วก็ตัวเลขในเยอรมนีคนไทยที่เสียชีวิตจากโรคนี้ก็ยังไม่มีค่ะ
ตอนนี้ระบายความทุกข์กันในช่วงนี้ยังไงบ้างคะหรือว่าชวนกันคุยเพื่อที่จะช่วยพยุงจิตใจกันยังไงคะสำหรับคนไทยในแฟรงก์เฟิร์ตนะคะ
ตอนนี้คนไทยในแฟรงก์เฟิร์ตแล้วก็คนไทยในเยอรมันเลยล่ะค่ะก็มีเพจหลายๆเพจที่แลกเปลี่ยนข้อมูลข่าวสารกันแล้วก็มีกลุ่มอย่างเช่นสมาคมทาราซึ่งช่วยเหลือเป็นอาสาสมัครช่วยเหลือคนไทยในเยอรมนีก็แบ่งปันข้อมูลเกี่ยวกับช่องทางที่จะติดต่อความช่วยเหลือจากภาครัฐได้ในกรณีเช่นสมมุติมีปัญหาช่วงที่ต้องกักตัวอยู่บ้านนี่อาจจะมีความตึงเครียดในครอบครัวมากขึ้นจะปรึกษาใครดีอย่างเงี้ยค่ะแล้วก็ยังมีชุมชนเพจอย่างเช่นพ่อบ้านเยอรมันที่รวบรวมข้อมูลข่าวสารแปลเป็นไทยให้เสร็จเรียบร้อยแล้วก็แบ่งปันกันไปเพื่อให้ทุกคนเข้าใจตระหนักถึงหน้าที่ติดหน้าที่ของตัวเองแล้วก็วิธีดูแลตัวเองกันด้วยค่ะแล้วก็แล้วก็อย่างหน่วยงานภาครัฐเองอย่างสถานกงสุลใหญ่แฟรงก์เฟิร์ตมิวนิกก็ตั้งกลุ่มไลน์ที่จะกระจายข้อมูลข่าวสารล่าสุดให้ก็เรียกว่าตอนนี้ชุมชนไทยอบอุ่นนะคะเราต้องช่วยกัน
แต่คุณเพื่อพูดให้คุณโสภาพรสบายใจมากขึ้นนะครับตอนนี้คนไทยเองก็อยู่ในภาวะที่ไม่แตกต่างกันในเมืองใหญ่ๆอย่างเช่นกรุงเทพคืนนี้ตั้งแต่เที่ยงคืนเป็นต้นไปถึงตี 5ร้านอาหารทั้งหลายสะดวกซื้อก็ไม่ให้เปิดแล้วนะครับเพราะฉะนั้นก็ถือว่าชีวิตเปลี่ยนไปเยอะพอสมควรในกรุงเทพตอนนี้ผมคิดว่าก็คงคล้ายๆแฟรงก์เฟิร์ตถนนก็ค่อนข้างจะโล่งกับรถที่เคยใช้1.5 ชั่วโมงตอนนี้ครึ่งชั่วโมงก็ถึงที่ทำงานแล้วนะครับ
มีของขาดตลาดไหมคะทิชชู่ขาดตลาดไหมคะที่นี่ขาด
ก็มีของที่ขาดตลาดโดยเฉพาะหน้ากากนะครับแต่ทิชชู่ไข่ซึ่งเคยขาดตลาดตอนนี้ก็เริ่มจะกลับมาพอมีให้ซื้อได้บ้างแล้วนะครับแต่จริงๆแล้วก็ถือว่าบรรยากาศที่เราต้องเผชิญที่เมืองไทยเนี่ยผมคิดว่าคงคล้ายๆกับหลายประเทศในยุโรปตอนนี้ครับแล้วผมก็คิดว่าคนไทยก็คงจะพยายามจะปฏิบัติตามคำสั่งหรือตามทิศทางที่รัฐบาลกำหนดมามากขึ้นเพราะว่าก็รู้ดีว่าตัวเลขที่เห็นขึ้นทุกวันเนี่ยมันค่อนข้างจะน่ากลัวมันก็ยังเป็นแต่ละวันเนี่ยจะมีจำนวนผู้ที่ติดเชื้อที่เป็นรายใหม่เนี่ยเป็นร้อยขึ้นไปนะครับถึงแม้ตัวเลขอาจจะทรงแล้วก็ลดมาบ้างแต่ก็ยังเกินร้อยทุกวันตอนนี้
ค่ะ
เป็นประสบการณ์ร่วมกันนะคะที่ประชาชนหลายๆเมืองทั่วโลกเลยค่ะกำลังเผชิญภาวะล็อกดาวน์ไม่ทางใดก็ทางหนึ่งนะคะตอนนี้ก็ต้องให้กำลังใจกันให้กำลังใจคุณโสภาพรนะคะช่วงนี้ดูแลสุขภาพ
ถือว่าชวนคุยเพื่อแก้เครียดให้คุณโสภาพรด้วยนะ
ขอบคุณค่ะขอบคุณค่ะ
ค่ะเอาละค่ะโอกาสหน้าน่าจะได้ชวนคุยกันอีกนะคะคุณโสภาพรเมื่อสถานการณ์หวังว่าจะดีขึ้นกันในทุกพื้นที่ค่ะ
ครับดังเกินเชิญ
วิเทเชิญค่ะ
ค่ะขอบคุณค่ะ
ขอบคุณมากครับขอบคุณครับ
เอาละค่ะทั้งหมดก็คือไทย PBS World Tonight นะคะทั้งภาษาไทยและภาษาอังกฤษนำติดตามสถานการณ์ที่กำลังเกิดขึ้นทั่วโลกโดยเฉพาะในประเทศไทยนะคะมาให้คุณผู้ชมรับทราบวันนี้ได้รับฟังมุมมองจากเอกอัครราชทูตสหรัฐอเมริกาประจำประเทศไทยถึงแนวทางการสื่อสารและสถานการณ์ที่กำลังเกิดขึ้นในสหรัฐค่ะและคุณเทพชัยยังอยู่ไหมคะอาจจะมีสัญญาณขัดข้องนะคะไม่เป็นไรค่ะถ้าติดต่อคุณเทพชัยไม่ได้จะพาคุณผู้ชมไปดูภาพของตำรวจอินเดียที่ช่วงนี้ทำกิจกรรมเป็นพิเศษกันนะคะเพื่อที่จะพยายามคลายเครียดและต่อสู้กับโคโรนาไวรัสค่ะเป็นตำรวจอินเดียนะคะที่สวมหมวกกันน็อกอย่างที่คุณผู้ชมเห็นเนี่ยแหละค่ะทำเป็นภาพไวรัสโคโรนาไวรัสนะคะแล้วก็นำมาคล้ายๆกับว่าเล่นละครกันกลางถนนคงจะเป็นการแก้เครียดให้กับบรรดาตำรวจและรถที่ผ่านไปผ่านมาในช่วงเวลานี้รวมถึงคนที่อยู่ในบ้านเพราะว่าเป็นช่วงเวลาที่จะต้อง social distancing อยู่ห่างๆกันไว้ค่ะแต่อันนี้ก็อยู่ใกล้กันนะคะ ก็คือเป็นแนวทางการรณรงค์เพื่อต่อสู้กับไวรัสโคโรนาที่ประเทศอินเดียค่ะซึ่งได้ประกาศปิดทั้งประเทศไปแล้วเมื่อสัปดาห์ที่แล้วนะคะสำหรับอินเดียซึ่งมีประชากร 1,300 ล้านคนค่ะแล้วค่ะทั้งหมดคือไทย PBS World Tonight ภาคภาษาอังกฤษและภาษาไทยสำหรับคืนนี้ค่ะคุณเทพชัยยองดิฉันณัฐฐา โกมลวาทินสวัสดีค่ะ